Okay, excellent. So welcome everyone. This is the March Frictionless Data Community Call. So today we're gonna have Evgeny, who's the tech lead of the project here. He will present the new command line features of Frictionless and the metadata editor. There's gonna be time for discussion after that, but I would like to take the last 10 minutes of this call to give a quick overview about governance, because I feel that there were things that were not clear, so we can have a discussion around that as well. So let's have a quick round of intros and I can get started. I'm Sara Petti. I'm based in Bologna, Italy. I'm the community manager of Frictionless Data, and I'm really excited about this call today and to see you all. And I'll throw the ball at Jesper. What about you?
Hi, I'm Jesper. I live in northern Germany. I work for the federal state of Schleswig-Holstein, and I'm the open data manager. Yeah, and I'll pass the ball over to Augusto.
Hallo, danke schön, Jesper. I am Augusto Hermann. I work in the Ministry of Management and Innovation in Public Services in Brazil as a data engineer and automating data flows with Apache Airflow. I'm a long-time frictionless data user. We publish some open data sets, and we are about to also release more data sets with data packages. I'll pass word to Marcelo. Happy birthday to you from my team.
Cheers, thank you. Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm Marcelo. I work with Augusto at the Ministry of Management and Innovation in Public Services, and also with data engineering activities. And I'm very pleased to be here. And thank you, Augusto, for the invitation as well. And that's it. I'll pass the word now to Keith.
Hello, my name is Keith Hewitt. I'm a postdoctoral fellow at the National Institutes of Health, and I've also been using data package and Frictionless for some years now and quite enjoying it. And I will pass it on to Nikesh.
Okay, thank you. Hi, everyone. My name is Nikesh Palami. I'm based in Kathmandu, Nepal. So I'm the International Open Data Lead at the Foundation. So I'll pass this to Nick.
Thank you. Happy birthday, Marcelo. I own a software company called Deploy Solutions. We have been using Frictionless for, I guess, almost 2 years now, pretty extensively. We do a lot of work increasingly in climate change software, and it's really, really important because we work with scientists that we validate the data. So I'm pretty excited about Frictionless's ability to do that. And I will pass it over to Peter.
Hi, Peter Desmet, based in Belgium. I use Frictionless to publish biodiversity data, and I'm the maintainer of the R package. I pass to Mark.
Thanks, Peter, and thanks for the invitation that led me to be here. My first time. I work for and with rOpenSci, and we are currently have started on a new project called Deposits. It might change name, but Deposits, the vision is it's going to be a universal client for accessing data repositories for managing data. So the interface will be standard no matter where you put your data, whether it's Zenodo or a Dataverse instance or anything, it will be the same. So it's a whole lot of metadata wrangling, and we have decided to adopt Frictionless as our data metadata standards, and we're really interested in working more closely together with all of you people. Importantly, we are also at the moment looking for small parts of funding to progress the work a little bit over the next few months. But during that time, we'll then be looking for much larger funding to make this whole project a long-term sustainable project. And we're very interested in keen in combining forces to do that. Sorry, I went way over time compared to most there, but that was important stuff to get out. Thanks.
Would you like to pick someone to go after you, Mark, and welcome to this community also?
Sorry. Yeah, I pick Billy.
Hi, I'm from the Earlham Institute in the UK, in Norwich, tiny place that no one's probably visited. We luckily enough got started working with Frictionless data. We got a tool award 2 or 3 years ago, and we adopted it for all our week-based data, and we love it. We can't get enough Frictionless. So yes, bring it on. Because I came in late, I don't know who's left to talk.
Quite a lot of people, but Jonathan, why don't you go ahead?
Sure, my name is Jonathan Mitchell. I live in Washington State in the United States. I work for Innovi Health, and I'm continually trying to get more Frictionless into our company's workflows. So yeah, I love the prospect, and I want it. I can see how great it would be. So yeah, I'm excited about it. Who else hasn't gone? I came in late too.
I think Dan still needs to go.
Hey, I'm Dan Fader in Philadelphia. I build open data portals for the Centers for Medicare and Medicaid Studies through a company called Civic Actions. Maintain DCAN, which is a Drupal-based open data portal software. And I'm on my phone, so I'll pass back to Sarah, see if we have any other people to pass to.
Yes, so Cesar still needs to go, I think.
Okay, I'm Cesar Calafrioli. I live in Pernambuco, Brazil. I work with open data at Pernambuco Federal University and using Frictionless for software developing.
Great, thanks, Cesar. And now we're missing Sas, and of course, Evgeny, I'll just leave you for the end so you can directly unroll your presentation after that. But Sasi, do you want to introduce yourself first?
Yes. Hi, I'm Sasi. I'm from Nepal, and I currently work as a developer in Open Knowledge Foundation. And I pass it to Evgeny.
No, can you hear me?
You're a bit low, but we can hear you.
Yeah. Have we missed Nikesh or not?
No, Nikesh already went.
Okay, so yeah, thank you. Yeah, so I'm Evgeny. I'm tech lead of the Frictionless. And today, is it better now?
Yeah.
The sound, yeah, thank you. And today I'm going to show you our new features for command line in Frictionless framework. So let me share my screen. Can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. So yeah, lately we had a presentation about Frictionless for the World Bank fellows, and I created this data wrangling in console presentation for them. So currently I'll be showing you these new commands as a part of this like more complete presentation. I think it makes sense. So yeah, it's about Frictionless framework. It's a framework for Python, and lately we added a few new commands for the command line, and also we're working on the on more complete and recommended flow for different needs. And this presentation is more about like data wrangling, or even more like data like exploration. If you have a kind of like a data set somewhere on the internet or locally, and you just want to like quickly explore the metadata, the data, the structure, the data tables. So here's a list of commands, and all of them should work like on many data sources, as like local files, local folders, databases, and maybe remote published data sets like on secant And for example, if it's published with data package, it will use a data package. If it's not published with data package, it will infer the metadata. So let's start from the list command. And it's a new command, and it was added to quickly see a list of resources in a data set. So for example, we have this Zenodo data set. I'll show like in a second. And we can just get a list of available, like we're mostly interested in tables, but it will show, I show like other data resources if it's provided in a data set. So let me show. It will be, you're going to work with this data set. It's it's on Zenodo about the sports Olympic Games. So yeah, and as you can see, it's just CSV tables. Yeah, so the first command just listing the tables, and the difference is the describe command. We've had like for a long time that this one is like really fast because it just usually one call to the remote data publishing system. So it doesn't read like any actual data. It just gets like if it's a scan, it just will do like package show, I guess, API call, and will show the resources. So also there is a change in the command line. Like by default, we got like more user-friendly representation of data, and you can always use YAML or JSON flag to get like more technical. So here it was like list new command. The second one describe, and it's an old command, but I'm just showing because it's kind of like a part. It can be a part of like exploration flow. So you did the list, and now you're interested in describing like this, describing tables, a table you're interested in. Wait a second. Okay, it might be like little bit slow because of the video, but the idea that describe also adds infers table schemas, and yeah, for by default it will infer table schemas for all the tabular resources, and we can also add the stats flag to get the stats, but it can be like really slow for remote resources. So here we go. We figure out that we're interested in the boxers, buff box, and we can start data exploration by getting the schema of this table. So, and also if you pass a YAML flag, it will be just like our usual YAML representation or JSON. So the next command is extract. Again, it's an old command, but here we can just use it to figure out like what kind of data this table has. And as you can see, here is a metadata table schema, and here is an actual data, a preview. This command is also the same fast as describe because both use just a small chunk of the data. So, but you can again use extract, for example, YAML, and provide a row limit and read more data if you want. So next command is for, yeah, and here we're getting more like more interesting stuff. So also, as usual in Frictionless, you need to install extra dependencies if you use some like extra features. So in this case, we use like really cool project called Visidata, and it was a long-standing feature request to get this integration. And Visidata is it will sound weird, but Visidata is a table editor in the command line, inside the command line, like Vim, but for tables. So we can just use the explore command for our boxers. And yeah, here we're getting just like cell in the command line. And this editor is like really, I think, future complete, and there are a lot of stuff you can do, but I'm not an expert. So for example, there is a Shift F command, and we can see the distribution of height, the boxers. So again, Shift F, sorry, no. And the main command for Visidata is just Q. You need to press Q and you can get out, because if you don't know this command, you will like stuck there like forever. So just remember Q. And the thing that currently we picked one data resource, but it will take a little bit more time. But for all the commands, we can apply them to, for most of the commands, we can apply them on a like full data set. So if we didn't provide this name boxers, and taking a little bit more time, but here we're getting like all the tables. So we can just start exploring this as I'm using Shift S to list the tables. And yeah, like a lot of stuff you can do. Just quotes, row, filler, and column, like transformations. Just if you're interested, try this with the data thing. And I'm clicking Q to get out of all the like tables, and when it's done, I'll get back to the command line. So also currently the dataset integration also under development. So the same, but it will open the dataset web application. The next one is query, and it will put a dataset into a SQLite database, and again, you can choose one table, you can just add all of them. And currently it's might be kind of like slow, but for local files, it's like quite fast, because we use the import command of the SQLite, and it's just like it's really fast. The same as copy command for PostgreSQL. So we're getting like everything indexed. It's a temporary database, and we can do basically everything we can do with a database. For example, we can save some query as a CSV file. SQLite provides this like mod CSV, then like we select like the output file, and we add headers, and yeah, writing the output. You can find it in the SQLite documentation, but it's quite nice if you just want to quickly like get some query from random dataset from the internet and save it as a CSV. So yeah, so just the table like is yours, so you can do everything here. And now it's deleted. If you want to preserve your SQLite database, or if you want to use like other database, you can use the index command, provide like I think database something, and it will index to a named database like you you prepared previously, and you can just use it later. So if it's like a big data set and you don't want to index it like every time, you can just create create a database using the index command first, and then use this database, for example, with the same commands, or just open in a SQLite editor. So, Sarah?
Yes.
Just a quick check. It seems it's okay. You can hear me.
Yes.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Because I see my like slides, so I try like check from time to time when I do presentations. Yeah, thanks. So.
Sorry, can I just ask you one question that has been asked in the chat? What is the minimum version of the framework for using the new commands?
Yeah, sorry, it's a good one. So, it's also we got a new documentation section, and I think it's not added yet, but it should be frictionless 5.10. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's not here. We will fix it. Yeah, also I'm going to share the presentation. It's accessible from the internet. So the next command script, the idea is the same. You have a data set, and you do like a quick also data exploration. It will again index the data set. That's the case when you might use the index command first and then do everything on already like prepared database. But it's remote, but still it's a small data set, so it's quite quick. And the script will create pandas data frames for you. So we got here's a list. We got everything like populated, and our boxers. Why it starts from AAA, I don't know. Like every table. So you're getting like just a pandas data frame instance. You can do like anything you want to with this, and yeah, it's right one. It was in SQL, I think the average height one 76, and the same in pandas. And you can also export as a CSV, whatever you want. And again, I'm not a pandas expert, but there are on the call, so you can use it. Also, it's not yet implemented, but of course we need to like give an option to open in IPython or maybe like different backends. But currently it's only the native Python. So also, yeah, there is a. I need to check also. There is a requirement for SQLite for some commands, but I think I need to also share it in the documentation. Some commands require SQLite starting from 3 like that 34, but yeah, I need to check. So yeah, it was it regarding like exploration commands. Also, we just started this new convert command that can convert one format into another. And lately, I think historically, the extract was used for like converting data into CSV, but it was like a little bit messy because of the different kind of like ideas of what is extract, what is conversion. So we might try to separate two things. So extract is something to get like normalized data just to explore, and convert will be providing like options for different dialect settings, formats, like saving, downloading. Currently, it's kind of like just at the beginning, so there were like no option basically, but we will be adding them. And also experimental command publish, so you can publish a data set to a second instance, just providing an API key. So also like really experimental. So yeah, that's mostly it. It was about command line. Of course, in Python, it's possible to like do more advanced things with Frictionless framework. And currently, we're planning to work on a new on improved checklist and pipeline features to have it in version 6, for example, like interactive pipelines in the console and then in the Frictionless application. And basically that's it regarding the new commands. Thank you.
Thanks, Evgeny.
Great presentation. Yeah, really nice work.
Thank you. How to stop sharing? Yeah, I see.
Do we have questions for Evgeny?
Yes, спасибо большое. Thank you, Evgeny. These features are really cool, and I have been trying to use them immediately here. With I have pasted in chat a Frictionless command. I've just installed the 5.10 version to try it out. And my question is, when I try to validate this data package of ours, it validates. But when I run other commands like script, it says that data type file is not indexable. Also, when I do the other command, I think it was info or list. It says it's of type file. Is our data package missing something?
Yeah, sorry, I also have a question. How to stop sharing the screen?
You're not sharing it, so it's fine.
No? Oh, thanks, because it's still green. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, thanks. And yeah, all the commands, like new commands, are quite raw at the moment. So, like, if you can just yeah, share it on Slack on the issues, I guess it should be like some bugs. Because,
oh, you mean share my screen?
No, I mean no, I mean sharing your like mistakes you got with the new commands. Like, so you said it doesn't work. List doesn't work for data package JSON, right?
No, list does work, but script doesn't work. It says the data type of the resource is file.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So I can also add a note, but it needs to be fixed, I think. So yeah, thanks for sharing.
Okay. Thanks.
Yeah. In general, also it might be caused by the new we implemented like new generalized source detection. So currently Frictionless tries to detect like any sources that provided in command line. Like for example, folders, etc., like the generalized way. So I think it's just a kind of like a problem with this flow.
Okay, thanks, Augusto, for the question. And thanks, Evgeny. I think, Keith, you were first, and then we'll have Jesper. Oh, Keith, you're muted. We can't hear you.
Thanks. I have a few questions, but we can just do a couple and then come back. First off, though, really great work. So I appreciate you putting in the time, and it's exciting to see just how quickly things are moving forward, and like the CLI looks fantastic. For the Zenodo, are you using the API to interact and pull with the data? Or are you just hitting like a raw text file of the data package.json or YAML? I think you must be going through the API, right? Oh, frozen.
Yeah, I think Evgeny.
All right. Sarah, you can just answer for him and take guesses or make up stories.
I'll probably make up stories. Let's see if Evgeny without the camera.
No, we can wait.
Evgeny, are you there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I tried to.
Did you hear the question though? Or do you want me to repeat it?
You're breaking up a lot, Evgeny. We can't really hear you.
Well,
yes, I can answer this. Zenodo, we are using the API and using the PyZenodo library that uses the API.
Okay. For that, does the user have to have their own API key? Because I think I started to look into it, and okay, yeah. So then that could be something. I don't know if there's any way around that as far as I've read so far. Like there's no way you can create a command and allow the user to pull data without having to go through the process of getting an API key, which is unfortunate, but okay, I was just curious. The other one more question I'll ask for now is related to the so when you're in, I guess is listing or not indexing, but just listing the data resources in a package, there's a little bit of latency. I wonder if you all have considered doing some caching. It might be kind of not that important for something as simple as just listing the resources in a package. That should be quick most of the time, unless the server is just down, in which case you're not going to do anything with it if you don't already have the data. But still, like if you're going through and pulling this information, it seems like it wouldn't be that hard to set up some kind of local SQLite database cache and then store the MD5 hash for the data package and check against that. And if it hasn't changed, you could just pull it from the cache, and that could work for a lot of the different API endpoints, I would imagine.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sorry, I lost my internet. Yeah, the Sassy is an expert here regarding the Zenodo integration. I think she had also a presentation and community call. But in general, currently we use Zenodo CKN API for getting metadata, but then we use data storage and like plain CSV files because of interoperability, because the idea that we're creating this data package that can be like shared or used without frictionless framework. So it's just kind of like a API to this Zenodo dataset. We discussed lately the Hugging Face integration, the same as Zenodo, also data publishing platform. And we're thinking that, yeah, so for making it faster, we can have just two different kind of data package inference, one with CSVs, and the second one, for example, using Hugging Face format for files and using their like dataset loading faster command. The same we can do for Zenodo using API to stream the data. But currently it just use CSVs. And regarding the caching, yeah, caching was always kind of like on the backlog for the framework, and it always kind of like it's been always creating like more question than answer, because you know there's kind of like the most complex task in computational is cache invalidation. So if we will start working on the cache, it will probably get us into like really complex work in general. So yeah, we just need to think if we have kind of like maybe quick wins on caching, but it's on the backlog, but not yet like clear how to because yeah, people like propose a lot like data files caching and etc. But it will be easier for the local files because we can control like modified time or something, but it might be problematic for remote ones. But we might think about using hashes from API, for example, from Zenodo. If Zenodo say it's like hash like this, we can probably it will be like the best solution, right?
I would think so.
Using, yeah. But
okay, great.
It's definitely a longer conversation.
Yeah, no, it's understandable. The times I've had to implement something like that or thought about it, it's always harder than it seems like at first glance. All right, I have a couple other things, but we can pass it on to Jasper or someone else.
Yeah, thank you very much for the presentation. Really cool features. So I've just implemented something similar to, like the SQL import. I was already impressed how few lines it took in Python, but now it's just a one command line command. I wonder if the convert utility also works for I have a lot of tables already described with tabular data resources, described as tabular data resources. Can I also use the convert tool? Because I've just tried it and it converted the tabular data description, tried to read the tabular data description as JSON and tried to do something with that, but it did not read the real data from the CSV file that's described by the tabular data resource. Does that work? Is there somehow an option I have to specify to tell that this URL is the tabular data resource and not the CSV file or not the JSON file containing the data?
I think currently it definitely can't because it's like really new. But the reason why we're having like, for example, this presentation to get like your ideas. So just if you can like create this like issue, so you'll be like on it because it's like really useful to understand what like really people really like need. So maybe it's not so a little bit like I didn't get maybe fully. So you want to like converting metadata, right?
Yeah,
or just
I have the metadata is describing the file as a tabular data resource, the JSON file, and I want to specify this as my input and say, okay, convert me this usually it's a CSV file, convert me this to a LibreOffice table.
Yeah, it's for convert, but it's not yet implemented. But the idea there, there's converting different kind of. But again, so you need to convert like only data or like convert also metadata. So making like a new data package, kind of like forking.
Now I would only like to convert the data that's described by the tabular data resource.
Yeah, so yeah,
it's inside the CSV file.
Yeah, it's for convert, but currently, I think I need to test. I don't know what it can because it uses a lot of like general like frictionless kind of like power, so I don't know for myself. Maybe it already can doing so, but I need to check. But yeah, thanks for the question.
Do we have other questions? Jonathan.
Yeah, so on the slide that you shared for publishing data, it says that it's only currently supporting CCAN as a target platform and experimental. I'm wondering what the long range plan for that is, if there's going to be a defined API or something that I could implement to make a platform that would also satisfy the same requirements to be a target platform.
Yeah, we already have this new adapter concept that basically it's like really simple that you, if you want to implement like a plugin, you just in your plugin you kind of like analyze the target, like for example string. If it's for example Zenodo, you hook into the data package creation flow and return your adapter, and this adapter only need to implement one command, write package, and you just write to like Hugging Face, for example, Hugging Face target. So yeah, it's already we already use it's pluggable, but by like design we already use kind of like plugins internally, but it's not yet published regarding the API, just in case we need maybe to test it more. But if you're interested, we can already like share the details of how like adding new targets. It's already like internally we have already implemented for Zenodo and GitHub as well. But command line interface currently only accept, I think, CCAN.
Okay, yeah, I'd be interested in any documentation on implementing the server side of that, so to speak.
Yeah, I think we'll test it and we will be sharing the details. But it's quite simple now. It was like we had a like legacy storage concept which was like really complicated, but now it's very simple because we use a like resource package as the building blocks for this, and it's way easier to implement.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Thanks, Jonathan. So we have Petra and then Keith.
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. Lots of cool features. I have just started to use version 5 and noticed some validation incorrectly failing where version 4 did not. Is the validation on the roadmap soon? Because that is a key feature that, yeah, I use a lot for publishing data.
Evgeny, I don't think we can hear you.
Hello?
Yes, now we hear you.
Yeah, sorry again, I lost internet for a second. So the question was that version 5, like, can you please repeat, because I just
Petra
missed like
just
half
wrote
of
it in
this.
the chat also.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, so it might be, I think, regression because of there like a lot of changes in the data model. But if you can share like what fails, I think it will be like quickly fixed. And in general, like we have around 2,000 tests, and from version 4 to version 5, like we kept like almost all of them, but it might be not covered if it's not covered by our tests. So yeah, we need to fix it.
Thanks, Peter. Keith. Muted again.
Sorry, I keep clicking on to lower my hand, thinking that's like the unmute button, and then start going into it. I was going to say I want to save us time to talk about the governance stuff, so I'll keep it short and just mention one more thing. But as you're making these kind of architectural and API changes to the command line, one thing I would ask, if it's at all possible and if it's in line with the goals of the larger project, is to try and think about early on, while you still can, abstracting out the data type specific parts of it. So right now it's, as you mentioned at the start, it's focused on tabular data. I don't know if that's always going to be the case. And that's, again, a discussion we'll have later. But if there really is plans to make this a project for all kinds of data, then the sooner we start to think about that and add kind of wrappers and adapters and engine layers in the code so that any commands will kind of have their own interface with like tabular data classes and so on. It'll just save a lot of pain down the road. So I just thought I'd mention that.
Yeah, so actually it's happening now, that because we're working on the Frictionless application, and it's currently internal, but we're getting like new kinds of data, like JSON data that will be validated by JSON schema, textual data like Markdown articles, because it's needed by Frictionless application. So you can open in your like it will be your IDE kind of like editor. You can open a table, you can open a text, and it has different features based on the data kind. So it's already happening.
Oh, okay.
Also, yeah, we might be like separating like metadata and data to create kind of like lightweight metadata mapping package, like to, for example, Frictionless to second, decad, etc. So, and yes, also, yeah, to Peter. So, yeah, I saw the issue, and yeah, I need to just, prioritize whatever that kind of like blocks you, because I think it's important. Yes, I'll.
Yeah. The concern is just long-term, if you end up writing all these things only ever testing on tabular data, then you could end up having a bunch of functionality that is kind of dependent on that. And then as soon as you try to expand it to work with other data types, you find that like a lot of effort's required because everything's hard-coded. But it seems like you're already thinking about this, so that's great to hear.
Yeah, we already actually split the resource class into like table resource, file resource, and it's happening, but just under the hood, because we can't like do major breaking things on like stable versions, unfortunately. But yeah.
Yeah, no. All right, great. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
I would like to take more questions, but I think we should definitely go into this short presentation about governance. So thanks, Evgeny, and thanks for everyone who asked the question. I encourage you to go in the community chat and keep on asking things. We're there anyhow. So let me share my screen. Okay, so basically the idea today is I've been chatting with some of you, and it has been our concern for quite some times now that the governance of the project is not really clear. And so what I did today is that I tried to sort of like put everything that more or less is clear to me in the slide so that I could discuss this with you. And we're all here from the Frictionless team, so we can also have a conversation around that. But basically it's to present what in our mind the governance models look like right now and how we can improve it. So it's also a way to sort of like open the table to discussion. So the way that I did this, so we're trying to think together with the rest of the team how to basically explain how the decision making works And for us, it's mainly like the project is divided in sort of like two parts. One is the core work and one is the non-core work. And I'll get into details about what that means later on. But basically the idea is, since Open Knowledge Foundation is supporting with some funding parts of the development of this project, there is what we call core work that is basically led by the team at Open Knowledge Foundation, that being Evgeny, Sassi, Edgar, myself, and Nikesh, who actually just joined the team as well. Nikesh will introduce himself later on, and he will give you more details about his role. But basically, this is one part of the project, and then there's a non-core part of the project that is more community-driven. So to understand this, I try to sort of like divide the projects in two parts. One part follows sort of like foundation-backed model. So Open Knowledge Foundation is leading on this part. That doesn't mean, of course, that we don't get community input. Community input is super important for us, and it really redirects also some of the work that we do. But basically, the decision-making is led by us on the project roadmap and the core development, that meaning the Python framework, the application soon to be released, the repository, and LiveMark. Now, we tried in the past, for example, for the project roadmap to gather some feedback. There was at a certain moment, I don't know if you remember this, feature voting, for example. The roadmap is anyhow public on GitHub. I'll paste a link in the chat later on. And so the idea is really to try to gather feedback. But yeah, so the feature voting didn't really work for us. We published the roadmap. We had at a certain moment some kind of GitHub discussion, but that also didn't really work for us. So at the moment, what we do is like we're gathering input from informally from the Slack chat and from issues opened on the GitHub repositories. But I'm eager to know if you have like more structured way that we could do that. And then there's the other side of the project, which is basically what we call the Frictionless universe. That's how it's called also on the website. That's why I put a screenshot here, but which is basically all the other libraries, which is not a Python library. And for this kind of work, we follow more a sort of like duocracy governance model, which means that basically members have de facto decision-making power over project components that they have worked on more closely. So a good example is, for example, the R libraries where de facto Peter is leading that part of the project. So of course, there's a piece missing. So what about the specifications? And that's like the big questions that everyone is asking. And I wanted just to make clear that the governance of this part of the project was not very clear until now. It has been recently unblocked. And so for the moment, the specifications will also be Open Knowledge Foundation backed for the moment. But ideally, we would like to build new working groups around this in the future. And I had a chat with Keith, for example, a few weeks ago about this, who had a very good suggestion about bringing around the table different people from different areas and active in different fields to make sure that we are thinking this in the broader sense possible. Before basically building working groups, we will need to secure some funding at the foundation to make sure that we have also like the space to keep these working groups going and we can provide support for that. So that's really like in a nutshell. I would be curious to know if things are a bit clearer for you now, if there are bits that are still unclear, and how we can make this better moving forward, how also we can make it clearer for newcomers, as we feel that maybe it's not always the case. So I said here, share your ideas in the chat, but I would say we can just have a discussion. Yeah. I mean, that's 2 minutes, but if you have any question or anything. Keith, yes.
Yeah, I'll just go to save us time. So thank you for sharing that, first of all. The first thought I have, or the only real like comment right now, is as far as the feedback from the community. That was one of my main thoughts, like during Evgeny's presentation, is it seems like, yeah, it's been opaque kind of to me at least, and it's in part just from maybe my own ignorance and not finding the roadmap and paying close attention. But it seems like, yeah, some features come out and then they're like, oh, here we go. So I think definitely the community involvement before implementing features would be ideal. And you've tried a couple things that haven't worked. I don't know the solution, but maybe one thing you could try that could work would be to do something like every 6 months or 1 year, when you have an idea of what you think would be some good features or a superset of those features, do a presentation for 1 hour in the community meeting and present what you think is important, why you want to do it, like what the use cases are, get feedback from all of us here, because these are the people who are most active and using it and likely to give you useful feedback. And then from there, you can know whether you're on the right path, kind of, instead of doing it and then afterwards saying, okay, so what do you think?
Yeah, thanks. That's super useful. It's definitely something that we could do, actually. Yeah.
Worth a shot.
Exactly. We can try it out and then see as we try the other stuff. And then if it doesn't work, we'll look for something else.
If it doesn't work, you just have ChatGPT write all the code in the future.
Exactly. We'll just go all on holiday. Yes.
Yes, regarding the standards, yeah. So the version 1 what released at like 2017, I guess. So it will be great if you can release version 2 of the standards, what Sarah mentioned in the like working groups, and if you can release it like soon. And the goal will be just, you know, keep everything as much as possible stable, but just clean a little bit maybe the standards. And the main thing I think will be just making them more like looking like standards and registering them into, like, for example, some standards registries. So yeah, the idea will be kind of like getting version 2 as like cornerstone for like next 5 years, when currently, yeah, standards are adopted, but kind of like a small group of users, and our goal is to make it more like broad, and version 2 will be like really important. But
all right, I have some ideas on that. I'm going to try to present next month and hopefully sell you all on some of it.
Amazing.
Yes. Okay, we're 1 minute over time. I invite you and encourage you all to come to the community chat via Matrix or on the Slack, the way you prefer. But just give us more feedback about this. So if you have other ideas or stuff, please bring them in. Just before we leave, there's a couple of things that I wanted to announce. And one is what Keith just said. So he's going to present in the next community call on the 27th of April. So join us. And the other thing that I wanted to announce is that we're going to attend a CSV conference in Buenos Aires on 19th and 20th of April. And Evgeny is going to give a presentation about the frictionless application, which will actually be released in its beta version by then. Yeah, I think that's it. I just wanted to thank you, Keith, and Oleg, who's not here, because you were actually the ones that sort of like encouraged me to do this presentation and to talk more openly about governance, which had been something that we've been thinking on for a very long time now. So it's good. So thanks, basically.
No, I appreciate it. That was helped clarify a lot.
Yeah. Yeah, we're 2 minutes over time. So thanks all. If there are some questions that were not answered in the chat, I'll try to answer them on the community chat. And the topic of Keith's next call, we want to answer this very quickly.
It's basically just going to be a progression of some of the ideas I presented over the past couple of years, but the main topics are how we can basically make this project work for as many different data types and fields and make it truly live up to the goal of being kind of data, at least what I think is the goal of being data agnostic, what an abstract data model might look like that would ideally support that. And it would be some kind of hierarchical structure that would then have domain specific extensions, a way that you can refer or describe the relationship between data sets or data resources using a graphical structure. And one more thing, which is kind of building on the command line stuff. So what an ideal command line might look like for me, and how one could use that to like pull data from repositories and store it locally and that kind of thing. So this is actually very much in line with what Evgeny was working on today, and just a different flavor of it maybe.
Yeah, so thanks all again. Yeah, I want to be mindful of time, and we're over time by 4 minutes now. So I hope to see you all next month. I'll have a look at the chat questions, and if there are some that are not answered, I'll try to answer them all in the matrix, or other people in the team will try to answer them. Yes, have a good rest of the day, and I'll see you again next month. Bye all, thanks.
Thank you,
Bye.
bye.
Thanks, Sarah.
Bye,
Thanks,
thanks.